evening. Welcome to What's New. Tonight we have two guests, our mayor, Brian Keim, and of course Jean and I are sitting here as usual. And Carrie Noel will be here in a couple minutes. So we'll let Brian start talking.
Oh, great. Well, hey, thank you for having me on again. I was chatting with you guys. It's been a bit. I think the last time I was on was right before Mardi Gras.
Yes, it was.
So that was some time ago. So we've had a little break, but obviously there's been a lot going on. I think most people are probably aware of it because there's been a lot of construction throughout the city. And I think we're seeing a lot of progress with that, which has been so much fun to watch because I know that this was a sore subject for a long time. We all drove the same streets. We all hit the same potholes. We all probably said a four-letter word here and there. But I can tell you that we're really pleased with how things have been going. I think that we've seen with the weather finally kind of cooperating, we were able to really get moving on a lot of these projects. But you can see a lot of brand new asphalt and blacktop all over downtown, which we were really focusing on trying to get that stretch done because, we have Jour de Fete, which is going to be here with us tonight. We just talked that really it's here. It's in a couple weeks. It's going to be here before we know it. And then, of course, all the other festivals that we have going on, working around those schedules and trying to get all that completed while not upsetting the apple cart too much. And I would say, and I would tell all the residents that we really appreciate their patience because we know it's not fun when streets are closed. We know it's not fun when there's debris and there's mess. And I know that with progress sometimes comes some inconvenience, but I can say that, they've been great and they've been patient and they've been working with us to try to get those projects done. And we greatly appreciate that. And I know that it's inconvenient during the summer because people are out and about and they're doing things and they're traveling. And sometimes it just gets, I know it can be chaotic when you're trying to navigate around that, but I think when we do finish what we're trying to get done this year, I think it's making an impact already, and people are very complimentary. They're noticing, even residents that are just
you're fine. Come on.
May I talk a little bit for the people who just go from home to the grocery store and back again about the extent of the project for this year?
Sure. So what you're seeing right now is we really focused on a lot of the downtown streets, as you can probably tell. A lot of the connector streets around, when you think of 5th Street and 8th Street. 9th Street is a huge project that's undergoing right now, and I don't know if you've been there to see it. 9th Street was always such a thorn in our side because it just wasn't engineered in the way it needed to be. It didn't have any stormwater control, and so that's a major undertaking. And with the opening of the Early Childhood Center this fall, that was very top of mind because that street is going to be heavily traversed now. Because there's really only a couple ways to get there to that new Early Childhood Center, and 9th Street's going to be a main artery. And with the condition that it was in and the travel that it was going to take, it needed an overhaul. So that one's been, we're excited about seeing how that project goes on because there'll be curbing and guttering there finally. My goodness. I mean, it just...
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that one. I haven't been up there, but Charlie was just saying he had to go zigzagging all around.
You do. And I had to do it yesterday. They had a ribbon cutting for the Early Childhood Center, which is great. I hope that everybody gets a chance to see that facility. It's wonderful. The school district did a fantastic job. But to come back to your question, so a lot of the focus was in the downtown group and getting those streets done because really those were the worst of them. I think we can all agree that Market and Main and 9th and 8th, 5th, Jefferson, Washington, I could keep going, right?
It's been a very long time since that original project that redid the downtown streets and sidewalks. It's been how many years?
It's been a while.
A long time.
Yeah, and you've noticed all of that. And then on the other side of town, you may have noticed, Parkwood has been under construction here for the last couple months. And that's a major undertaking. There was a lot that needed to be done. A lot of the underneath fill, and they needed to go back in and redo that whole thing. So, I mean, I don't know if you looked at it, but they stripped that whole thing down there and really started over from the ground up to make sure that those streets are going to be able to maintain the traffic because also what's coming, right? We know that the other half of Prop S is a new housing development.
Right.
And that's going to be another main artery there. Parkwood and Basel are going to be two heavily traveled streets. Not that Parkwood isn't already. And
So that Parkwood's going to run back through there then?
yes.
Extend out?
Correct. Correct. So Basler and Parkwood will go into the new development. Basler will continue out to Progress Parkway. That will be the one that connects the two sides together, which is also wonderful if you think about it. It will be helpful to be able to cut through there. And I think about it in walkability terms.
Right.
The ability for somebody to walk from downtown to the Point Base or to the community center. There's not a good way to do that currently. You have to be on M Road, right? And I don't think anybody really wants to walk on
that. Was an issue when the site for the community center was first announced.
Sure.
And there was a good deal of discontent on the part of particularly people with children.
Sure.
Who wanted their kids to be able to use the community center. So this is a real good step forward. I
agree. And we hope that we start to see the two sides of town kind of connect more. And we're able to kind of bridge. I mean, not that it's not far, right? But there's kind of a gaping, there's an emptiness there that is Progress Parkway. We want that to, and we hope that these things kind of spur more activity there. If we get, once the development gets going, we hope that kind of spawns some other things down the line.
Yeah, because we don't want to lose our city.
At 100%.
Downtown.
Yes. And we just want to make it so that if somebody was trying to get from Rozier Addition to the water park or to the community center, that they would be able to do so without really having to cross any, or go alongside any major, highways. I don't think M Road's all that bad. I mean, really the speed limit isn't that high there, but it's a highway, right?
And it's hilly, and there are lots of curves.
And the visibility in the evening time can be a little rough in that stretch there by the cemetery. Right. So I think that this will offer safe passage, at least a much safer passage, for if you're on a bike or if you're walking, and there will be a trail all throughout that development as well. But I think, Parkwood, it's going to be exciting when that project gets done, because that street really needed some attention. And, all those streets around Point Base are also going to get that same attention. It just, that's going to stretch out a little bit longer, just because the concrete work is a little different than the milling and the paving, right? It's a little bit more intensive, and you really have to make sure that you're doing that properly from the ground up. Otherwise, we're going to be having the same problems that we've been having, hopefully not too much longer, right? Hopefully, but we want these to last. We want these to be sustainable.
What'd you say, about 50 years for the concrete?
Well, I mean, concrete's going to last longer, and we made the decision to put concrete in from Maple up to the new early childhood center, because we are hopeful at some point that we get a road connecting from Maple out to 61. That's been we've been discussing that with MLC for a long time now. We're hoping that eventually that they will come to the table and help us out with that, because I think once we see traffic patterns in that area, I think we're going to really need that. And we wanted to set the stage for, we wanted the street to last. And we know that one's going to be heavily traversed too. Right. When you think about all the pickup and drop off in and out of there. So a new artery out to 61 would be great. And we hope that that's, down the road, but we wanted to make sure that we were ready for that. And we had a good, stable, a street that was going to last there, that maybe would lead to that in the future. So we're trying to plan ahead, and we always have a thought to the future with a lot of these projects. Not that previous administrations didn't. I know that everybody's kind of looking, 5, 10, 15 years down the road, and we're trying to do that too. We're trying to be intentional about how we approach these projects, so that one, we're making our dollars stretch as far as they can, but also the longevity of it. It just needed to improve. We needed to make sure we got these streets back to the proper engineering, so that stormwater was behaving appropriately and that people weren't having issues as a result of that.
There's some of that that's still problematic, though, in some of the sort of middle-aged subdivisions in town, where not a lot of attention was given to questions of water runoff and that sort of thing. So is the city going to be looking at that once you're farther along with what's going on now?
Yes. So there's there's kind of a schedule, a tentative schedule that the city's pushed out a little bit on social media to kind of help people understand what streets are going to be addressed. Now, timelines are tough, right? Because they are weather dependent, and it does depend on how quickly the projects before those move. But international subdivision is probably the worst one when it comes to stormwater. And I know that the people that live, on Scott, Audubon, LaRose, Lynn,
LaFleur.
yes, I mean, all of those are, they're obviously, I mean, that,
Right.
if you think back to when that was built, it was built, I'm going to use it hastily, right? Because it needed to be done quickly. And
There was some randomness.
there was a little
involved as
bit,
well.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so I think they did the best they could at that time, but I don't know that they were able to maybe take the time to think about some of the things like stormwater. And also, I mean, the city in and of itself, I mean, it's grown since then as well. So there are new needs. And water is fickle, right? It's going to go where it wants to go.
Yes.
And it also kind of makes its own path over time. And I think over the years, what we've seen is that really turned into a problem there. And I know the residents there, I've talked with a number of them. They're ready for some relief, and it's coming. It's just, it may not be this year, it may be next year, but it's part of the schedule.
Oh,
All those
that's
streets
great.
are going to get major overhauls, and
that's good.
we're trying to figure out the stormwater piece. I mean, that's the biggest piece of that puzzle.
And another problem with that back then is there wasn't all the housing. There
Correct.
was more ground that the water could go into.
Correct. And
So over
we've
the
filled up
years,
that space, right?
and
Yeah.
it's got,
Yeah, so
Course, over
that
the
subdivision,
years.
I know, and that's probably the one you were most curious about.
I
I'm
was
sure.
pretty curious.
Well, yeah, and I don't blame you. And if you've been there and looked at, we've seen a number of photos and videos that have been shared with residents of how that water reacts whenever we do get a heavy rain, and I 100% understand their frustration. It's not good, and it needs to be addressed, and it's a big piece of what we're doing with Prop S. It'll be addressed.
I think everybody is pleased with the fact that the city is taking some of these issues really seriously, and we can see things actually happening on a day-to-day
Yeah.
basis. And so congratulations on that.
Thank you. It's exciting. It's
it is.
fun to have projects going, because I think, like you said, it's confirmation that City Hall's listening, and we're taking the steps to try to make everybody's, if you've heard me talk, I've always said we want to make St. John live, work, play, right? We want it to be the best place it can be for all three of those. And,
right.
to live here, you want nice streets. You want stormwater control in your neighborhoods, wherever you live. You don't want to have to worry about that. I mean, I've owned houses that have had water issues, and it's when it's raining, you're just on pins and needles, and you're just kind of waiting.
And you're cursing City Hall.
Of course,
Yes.
and that's okay. I get it. But I think it's fun when you start to see these projects take shape, because it's what we're trying to present to the community and trying to tell them is that, hey, we're listening and we're trying to address these issues, and we do take it seriously. And I know that progress can seem like it takes a while, like that wheel always feels like it's moving slower than we want it to, but it's always moving. It just sometimes it feels like it does take forever to get from the inception of a plan to its actual implementation and the actual progress of it. And you spend a lot of time talking in this room and talking elsewhere,
Right.
but when you start to actually see it happening, and we're excited about that next phase, which is the development, which we think should be.
So when do you project that to start?
Well, and so there was a big step last week. McBride met with planning and zoning to go over some preliminary guidelines for their development and to get some first round of approval on some of the things that they're wanting to do. We had some discussions with them in the lead up. We have a subcommittee made up of some aldermen that have been helping try to be kind of a liaison between the developer and P&Z and City Hall, and trying to act as kind of a go-between to funnel questions, concerns, and just iron out those details. But there was a big step last week, so the first round of P&Z approval was great. So that is moving along. They are, go ahead.
What someone asked me recently, exactly where is this? And I really couldn't answer them.
Sure.
So maybe if you could describe a little more about where this is going to be. We're talking about what, 157 homes,
That's
I
correct.
think.
Yes.
And it would be good to kind of know where that's going to be located in relationship to some things that people will recognize.
Sure. So, we talked a little bit about Bosler Drive and Parkwood Drive extending out. So if you kind of familiar with those two streets and you kind of took those two streets and you took them out towards Progress.
They'll go all the way to Progress Parkway then?
Parkwood won't, but Bosler will.
Bosler will.
Parkwood will come into it and then connect to Bosler
And then
within
you can
the
get over
Yeah,
there.
and Bosler, for people who don't know, is where the jail and the
Correct.
county health department and those kinds of things are, and the big Baptist church.
Yes. So if you know where the Baptist church is and you see where it sits on the hill, everything
is
that
it-
kind of feeds
Is
down
that
below
still going to
that.
go behind to get over to, like if you go to the Baptist church and go through the parking lot and you can get all the way down to Parkwood? So
Oh,
is
yes.
that going to be,
That nothing will change about
That'll
the
still be there.
existing, the existing street layout. Nothing will change there. It's just we're going to add on to that. So if you were up on top of the hill there at the Baptist church and you just kind of were in their parking lot looking straight down there into that field, that's where
that's where the housing
Yes.
is going to be?
Yep. And it's going to kind of towards the Point Base side, it's going to be a little wider this way, and that property kind of narrows as it gets towards Progress Parkway.
Oh, okay.
It kind of works with the terrain. Then, of course, you have Valley's athletic facilities that are right there.
Right.
And that subdivision will butt up against those
Oh,
facilities.
it's going to
on
go
that
all the way
side.
to it?
Correct. And we'll have a cut through to the backside of Valley's
Where the
football field and
house
baseball field.
is, yeah.
Well, and that was something that the Catholic Church approached us about when we were working through details of swapping land with them, because that will allow them another outlet for traffic.
Yeah.
Right.
Super nice.
And we don't want to necessarily turn the subdivision into a main thoroughfare, but another outlet to funnel traffic out 32 is not a bad thought, because if you think about when a football game ends at Valley,
Right.
there's one way in, one way out, really,
Right.
and all that traffic
It's
is
really
coming. So
heavy.
another outlet out, if they're heading west to 32, or if they're heading, they could even, north, if they're going Progress 32 to 55,
Right.
it just gives them another way to funnel some traffic out of there. And I think I thought it was a good idea when they asked for that, because I've been to football games there, and you kind of see how that there's a lot of people that go to
A
those
lot of
football-
people,
and
yes.
they have had a ton of success, so there's a lot of playoff games, and those are heavily attended. So giving them another option for traffic control, I think, is really good. So I think
So
we're
that'll
excited
hook
about
on that bottom street then at the cemetery. and
That's
go out.
correct. Yes, that's correct. So I think, if that kind of helps with the landmark question as to where it sits exactly, that would be the best way for me to describe it now. And there is a creek that kind of meanders through there, and that kind of divides the property in some ways. And it's easier to see it on an aerial to see the way that the property, but it looks kind of like, I don't know. It's trapezoidal in nature, I guess. It's not square or anything. It just kind of has a lot more of a wider base on the Point Base side, and then it kind of thins down on that as we approach Progress Parkway.
Oh, okay. I had it backwards. I thought it was wider out there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
narrower by the cemetery, but it's the opposite
Yeah,
way. It's
yeah.
wider at the cemetery and then out.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
give them a
That'll even
rest
be
and
nice for the traffic then.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And it's going to have, the development will have a wide range of housing options. We've talked about this before. The idea was to give a really good mix, some starter homes, some kind of mid-size, small growing family type. And then you're going to have some higher end, bigger homes as well. That would be some options, but
how about senior housing?
Oh, yes. So we kind of lump that in with the starter home a little bit, but when you think about it, it's a smaller floor plan. It's really a one level floor plan with a basement, but somewhere around that 1,100 square feet. So it's not a burden to take care of. Plenty of
With not a
space.
whole bunch of steps to get inside,
Correct.
hopefully.
Correct. And this was something that we really thought that would be very popular. We understand that there's a pretty good need for that in the community, and all of this is really just taking the feedback from what we've seen and the discussions we've had. There was surveys that were put out several years ago that were trying to highlight where are the needs, and it was there's not enough housing, there's not enough types of housing, and it's all too expensive. And so all of this was designed, and we approached it in a way to provide a good mix. Obviously, in 157 new homes, there's your inventory, but a good mix of inventory too. But also the city getting involved with the infrastructure, removing that cost from the equation on the developer side, that savings passes through to the customer. So by the city taking that on, that's going to keep prices down.
Hopefully, yes. And also, what price range will the housing be?
So we don't have final numbers on that, but in the preliminary discussions that we've had with McBride, when they submitted their proposals to us, originally we were the starter homes or the smaller floor plan homes would start under 200,000. And then kind of stair step up from there as you go to, as you increase size, like a 15 to 1,800 square foot home was somewhere in the 230 to 250 range, which is great because we just don't have those right now. And those are probably the most desirable right now. That's the one that everybody's wanting. And if you look, there's just not many options available for that right now. And a majority of the inventory is going to be in those smaller homes and in that mid-size. The larger homes, there is going to be, a decent amount of those, but that's not where we focused our attention.
I think most people think that this project is a very good idea, but there is a piece of the housing issue that it doesn't address, and that's low-income housing.
Sure.
There's a serious shortage of low-income housing in the community. In part, at least, because some small homes that used to be available for a relatively low rent have turned into commercial spaces with the Airbnb thing. And I love Airbnbs. I enjoy them. I think that they're good for the community, but they've sort of gobbled up a lot of the housing that ordinarily a family just starting out, or a single mom with a couple of kids, people who maybe have some health issues that prevent them from working full time. Those people are really struggling, not just here, all over the country. But that's a piece of the housing picture. Is there any chance that the city's going to take a look at that once we're over this particular project?
I think it's a really good point, and I agree with you 100%. I think the city's always evaluating that, what is available and what are we seeing too much of. And there are other cities that are reckoning with the Airbnb thing right now. St. Charles put a moratorium on new Airbnb special use permits, I want to say in 2023, actually, maybe even 2022. It's been a couple years now because they had a similar issue. A lot of those properties that would be owner-occupied homes or even long-term rentals, they became short-term rentals. And the market kind of got flooded and it got saturated. And they realized that, okay, now nobody's really happy because all those homes are now not available. And all the Airbnb owners, because of the market saturation, they're not booking as often. And, we're very cognizant of where that inventory is right now. And I would agree, it's increased so much over the last probably 5 to 10 years, but really probably over the last 5 years.
The last 2 or 3 years, actually.
But if you have noticed, we are not getting very many requests for those anymore. There's not been a real influx of special use permit requests for that type of housing. And I think it's because people are starting to realize that there is a little bit of a market saturation of those.
Not to argue, but that's largely because there haven't been any small affordable houses available on the market.
Fair point. Yeah, no, fair point. And we do think that how many of those people that are owning those homes that you're talking about right now that are, I'm not going to say that they're cheap by any stretch, right? But they're probably starter homes or smaller homes or less expensive homes. How many people are in those homes right now that have been wanting to move to a bigger home or need more space or whatever it may be. How many people are out there that have been trying to do that for
And
several
that's
years?
where
and they
this
can't?
comes together with the project.
We're hoping that that does help solve a little bit of that issue, that those properties do become available. And we're hoping at that time that they become available to people that own or occupy them. I mean, that would be, that's the best case scenario.
Yes,
Is when
it
you
is.
have somebody buy a home, they live in it, the pride of ownership's there. And
Yes.
we hope that that's what happens. We want people to have that. And I know that there's a lot of factors out in the world right now that feel like they're limiting people on if they can afford a home. We hope that those alleviate sometime soon. But we also hope that the opportunity becomes available and that some of this development, it's not going to solve all the issues, right? But we do hope that it gets a natural churn to the market again, that we do start to see people moving up and those homes becoming available to them. In a healthy market, you're going to have people always kind of moving up or moving down, right? And they all kind of work in tandem with one another.
That makes it possible too for us maybe to see some population growth.
I think so. I mean, I think it's safe to assume that we've had so much of that data that we were looking at was based on our employers telling us that they had people that they had hired from out of area that were trying to move here and couldn't and ended up settling elsewhere.
Right.
So that's what our employers are telling us. And our employers have a vested interest in that, right? Because how much easier is it to retain an employee that has a 5-minute commute as compared to a 35-minute commute?
Right.
You and I both know, well, all three of us at this table know that even 35 minutes, that's an hour of your day that's in the car that could be spent doing other things. It could be spent at home. It could be spent doing a side business. It could be anything.
Yeah.
It could be anything. Those are valuable minutes of your life that are spent in a car that don't need to be. So that's important. And our employers are telling us it's important. And when they're telling us the amount of turnover in their workforce, and some of it is related to that. I'm not going to say all of it is, but some of it is. Right. And, the hospital has told us that. MLC has told us that. Even like just the county facility, when you think about like the sheriff's department,
right,
things like that, they're telling us that. All of these businesses, they need, I mean, we all know that there's a need. I mean, people are looking for help. There are jobs available. They're trying to fill these. And those people want to move here. We know that because we've been told that. They just can't find anywhere. So we've watched Perryville grow. And, people online, they say, I always compare us to Perryville. And I think it's fair too, because they are our closest peer, I think, in a lot of ways. I mean, they have nowhere near the history that we have. But in a lot of ways, they're very similar. They have a presence on 55, but really the rest of the town lies towards the riverside of that, right? And getting people to there. They've had a real downtown revitalization over the last 10 or so years, which has been great. And I think you're seeing a little bit of that here. If you drive downtown, if you're down there on the weekends or in the evenings, it's very lively. There's a lot of cars. There's a lot of cars there with out-of-state plates, which I love seeing. I mean, that means that we're doing the right things. We are attracting people here. And through my day job, I have so many people reach out. I won't say her name. I can't. But there's a lady that has been looking to move here for 4 years now from Arkansas. And she has not been able to find a home. And I talk to her all the time. And sometimes, we think we've got one, and she comes all the way up here to see it. And then something happens and it doesn't work out. And I want her to move here so bad because she's been trying, bless her heart, for 4 years. And she's had somebody waiting to buy her house for 4 years, and they're still waiting to buy it.
My goodness.
So it's that type that we're trying to.
There's a lot of that. I have a lot of people who come into my little gallery who talk about how charmed they are by St. Genevieve and how much they would like to maybe even have a second home here.
Yeah.
Or to retire here in a couple of years. And it's like, well, there's nothing to buy. I'm sorry. 100%. There's just nothing to buy.
They want to be here. We need to do everything we can to give them a space to be here. I think it's a really tough problem to have, and it's a really sad problem to have because we want them here so bad. And I know the county agrees with me too. And the county, they're trying to work through issues too, but they're trying to do the same things we are. It's trying to attract people to the area, whether it be And I'd be fine if they settle somewhere else. I get it. I just want them here. I want them to be a part of the community, because you know, if they don't live in the city, I'll get over it, right? but they're here and they're helping. And I think I'll stop there on the helping thing, because you've probably noticed, and I think you guys are probably very keenly aware of this, and probably at Jour de Fete. How hard is it to find volunteers?
It's sad because our old board is volunteers and most of them have been on there for years, but to find outside the 7 of us, it's hard.
Right. And I think what it comes down to is you find a group of people that are willing and able and have the time to do it. But that group is somewhat small. And guess what? When they start doing it, they're part of this and they're part of this, and they get pulled into a lot of different things. They're helping in a lot of different ways because they've been asked to, because people are aware that they're willing to. And we just aren't seeing that inventory grow, right? There's not, I mean, and I don't know if it's generational. I can't say. And maybe it is.
I don't know. I see some young kids that are so willing to volunteer and so willing to help. I don't know. I think sometimes it's instilled in you from little on up. But man, we need it. We got to keep growing, and we got to keep getting the youth interested in the town to keep it going.
And there's some natural shrinkage. Because old people like us, we're not going to be around forever. And you've been so active in this community in so many different ways.
Still are.
Exactly.
We're here.
I did my whatever. I did my duty.
But we have an aging population here. And a lot of the people who've been most involved are now in their 70s or their 80s.
I see that with
and
clubs.
Heading up to 90.
It's someone who lives 35 minutes away is not someone who's going to volunteer to be on the Jour de Fete committee.
Bingo. That's you hit the nail on the head. And I'm a pretty heavily involved in the Rotary Club, and I have been for years. It's been a club that I'm very passionate about. And that club has seen numbers shrink a little bit. And I think it's for a few of the factors we're talking about. But it's just hard when you lean on the same people over and over again, and you want to see some new faces get involved. And I know all of our organizations would. I know the Lions Club is clamoring for help right now. Yes. And what a great organization. And think about all the impact that they've had just in this community alone. Lions Club Park is amazing. It's wonderful. I wish it was fired up every weekend with music.
Oh, 100%.
But if we could just get it, but I know that when it comes to Jour de Fete, I'm probably like a lot of people. Well, I'm a Rotarian, and I try to help with this, and I try to help.
You got your ducks ready?
We're getting ready. They're warmed up. They're getting their flappers warmed up. But I think that's the problem is, and then what happens, I think, too, is a little bit of fatigue sets in. I think people do it for so long, and it's always just been dependent on them to do it, or nobody will do it. And I think there becomes a point where fatigue will set in, and
that's where communication needs to pick up. And I think if we bring in new blood too, the communication.
And I
keep
think
working
too,
together.
what would help is if it was advertised more or spoken more, like on Facebook and all the media. We need help. Come on, you young guys, volunteer. Come help us. You won't be committed for year or whatever. We just need help. And they may show up. Who knows? Yeah.
Let me ask
and
the
if
mayor.
if they don't know that they're needed, they're not going to volunteer because they'll think those other people have it all covered.
Sure.
Let me ask you, can you stick around for a while?
Oh, I'm here.
Because let's talk about Jour de Fete for a while, and then this is all going to come together at the end. I promise.
I believe it. I believe it.
Fine.
Yeah.
So tell us
We
about it.
didn't want to set you off there by yourself. Right.
I'm in good company.
Yeah.
I'm in good company.
Yeah.
It's fine.
One question I want to ask before she does.
Yeah.
Are the housing, is it going to be some brick and some frame, or is it all frame?
It will be a little bit of both. Yeah. So you're going to have a
Okay.
mix of, I can't remember the exact number of styles that are
That's
available,
fine. I
but
just wondered
they're
if
very
they-
intentional about how they approach that, so
Okay.
that I know that, and that's been a concern that's been shared, and I share it too. I mean, we've driven through Cookie Cutter, and it looks off-putting sometimes, I guess.
Okay.
This should not have that appeal. I mean, will you see the same floor plans? Sure, but they won't be anywhere near each other. And they're really intentional about how they lay that out. So that does, when you're driving through it, you see a mix of styles.
So the aesthetics are part of it.
100%. And I know that's a concern, and I agree. It's something that we don't want it to turn into that. But I will say that, you know, if you go to the communities that have McBride developments in them, I mean, they're full. They're full. I mean, there's a demand for that. And I understand it may not be for everybody. I get it. But it's going to be for somebody. And that's the person we're trying to reach. I mean, I bet you there's not a person in this community that hasn't known somebody that's been trying to find a house.
Right.
I mean, whether it's a relative or friend or just a work acquaintance, you know, a coworker, they're out there. And so there's a little something for everybody, I think.
I wanted to ask that what was
good
in my
question.
head.
You're
yet.
fine. I
So
would
go
have
ahead.
it afterwards. I
Now
get
you
it.
can talk.
Oh, you're fine. Well, we're here again. It's the 57th
Yes, it is.
annual Jour de Fete, August 9th and 10th. So what questions do you ladies have for me this year? Do you have any questions about
Okay,
it?
so how many booths do you have?
So right now, I feel
Vendors.
like last year was big. This year, I feel like it's slower coming in. So right now, at this time, we would normally be at close to 200. Right now, we're at 115. But last year, little background, if anyone knows, like my mom did Jour de Fete for years.
years
So
and
I
years,
got
yes.
into it, and I've been volunteering with Jour de Fete for 17 years, and I love promoting this town. I love bringing people in and showing them the different, like our town's unique and people need to see it. And I love,
I think, just from the way you're talking about it, I think you're a delightful face for the town, but we didn't introduce her.
Everybody knows Carrie.
I
Well, hopefully everybody remembers Carrie.
Well,
She's
hopefully.
very active. She is
try to
Carrie
be.
Knoll, and you can tell them where you work and all that if you would like.
I work in town at the St. John Health Department. I have 2 kids, and my mom and dad are still around, and they're very active in Jour de Fete too. So it's kind of like, I feel like also when you volunteer for an organization, you draw your whole family in and help.
Whether they want it or not.
Right.
Yes.
But I think we picked a good one. I know a lot of people are divided. You either love or hate Jour de Fete because it is crowded. Streets are blocked off. But I just always see the positive because you're bringing people. I love meeting people from all different states. And I love hearing about, like, they had no clue these historical towns. Okay, come another weekend and do a historical tour. So that's the stuff I love hearing about. And I love helping the local organizations. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize, like, some of the food vendors, like Lions, LJCs, that helps the organization all year round.
It's their biggest fundraiser.
Yeah,
right,
and like the
in most
Rotary with the
cases,
ducks.
yeah.
Like, I tell people buy a quack pack, they look at me like I'm nuts. But that helps the organization all year round. That's how you get your scholarships. That's how you get your donations. If we didn't have the Jour de Fete, yeah, they'd probably find somewhere else. But that could be a big bang for their buck that weekend.
It's such a good point.
Yeah.
That's what drives me, because I also have kids and I also see where the generations are coming from. But, like, speaking of generations, like the Boy Scouts, we have a very good troop in St. John and Bloomsdale, and they're both volunteering to help this year again. You know, they might not be the most glamorous jobs, but they're willing to help. Kinsey Fire Department's volunteering to do the trash again. It's a whole community event, and you get to know them. You get to see their families grow up. It's pretty cool. That's what I like. And, like, I love when you're walking down the street and you're seeing college friends or people from Valley or St. John that haven't seen each other since high
years,
school,
right.
and they connect because they decided to meet up at St. Genevieve at Jour de Fete. So that's like what I get the joy out of it, because I know twice I've been told this year, you're just crazy. Like, why are you volunteering for this? And I said, you don't get it. It's a passion, and it's kind of a pride. Like, you're promoting your hometown in a totally different way.
2 questions. The first is, tell us about the Historic Families
Okay.
project, and who are the families this year?
Well, I have to say that is not my partay.
Right.
That is Bev. Bev is amazing at keeping all that together. But hold on, I have it right here in a minute.
She is very active.
She is so active and amazing. She has a brain for history.
She
Okay.
does, yeah.
So German is Geiler, and how do you pronounce the French? Help me out.
Defer.
Defour? Okay, because I was like, I knew I'd butcher that.
As in Dolly DeFore, who
Okay.
a lot of people remember.
So that's the two families that will be doing an opening ceremony at 10 a.m. And Bev is like helping them do all their books and everything, which is always so cool too. And I always love at open ceremony seeing them all in their shirts and how the family, like learning about the different family trees. That's always really cool for me too.
That tradition is something old. Is there anything that's just brand new this year?
Brand new this year. There's not much. It is going to be our second year doing the Entrepreneur Corner. I started that last year when I seen all these youth like walking around and like someone would be like, I could make that. Okay, let's put your money where your mouth is. And so we started a little corner. It's $10 because I'm not going to price gouge them. I wanted it to be $10. And the Jour de Fete committee was very like, you go out on your own little limb here. And so they have to pay, they have to fill out an application, they have to tell us kind of what their business plan is, they have to make everything by hand that's in their booth, and they have to sell it that day. And it's not mom and dad doing the money, they need to be doing the money and everything.
That's a great
I think
idea.
that is wonderful.
Well, last year we started out with only 5. This year we're up to 15, and they're all local, and I love that.
Oh, definitely.
And we might have 2 or 3 still coming in that are going to be from like out of town, like surrounding areas. So I'm just like, if I can give back that way, and if that starts a new business in town, yes, mind you, they're only from the age of 5 to 17, but if it could start the spark to them start a business here, that's worth it to me. Because then they're going to stay local. And some are art, like one is doing arting, paint, like she has beautiful pictures of people's dogs, cats, faces, just amazing. Bracelets, there's one doing cake pops, and one's like a lemonade stand. And so I am very proud. Like there's a wide variety there, and I'm very impressed.
Now tell where it's located so people go there.
So you painted it, the beautiful, well, kind of beautiful. We need to spruce it up before Jour de Fete, the Jour de Fete house by the south, the Gabourey where all the ducks go. Right there, right in front of it is where we're going to have all the kids' booths.
Okay.
Yeah, so right in the main, trolley's going to drop off right there. So,
Good.
So hopefully they'll get a lot of foot traffic. And then like all the other vendors will be in the grassy area and then all around town. And then like next week on Facebook, I'm going to put what streets will be blocked off at like 2:00 on Friday, because we don't want to inconvenience anybody, but we want to get the vendors in, and hopefully then the vendors like rent here. Then we hope they like eat here. That's the whole thing for everyone's busy all
And they might want to move here.
You never know. You never know. Right. Yeah.
And there's so many people attracted by making a visit to St. John.
Yeah, we have, you're going to laugh at this, but we have a quilt club that I've contacted in Cape Girardeau, and we arranged with their home. They're going to bring a bus to Jour de Fete. So, and they're going to meet the trolley. So I'm just like, we're willing to work with different people and different things. So I thought that was neat. So hopefully they find some. I thought about the year we did the quilts. I was like, man, these quilt ladies are 2 years too late. But I'm glad they're coming.
Yeah.
So, because they've
that quilt show was a big
that
chore.
quilt show was beautiful.
Juanita did so much work on that. Oh,
this was the art guild for the people who are out there who don't know and weren't involved. That was a quilt show in the old Rozier building.
In the DeBerg Center.
Yes, now the DeBerg Center. Hundreds of quilts. I think there were like 700 quilts. Original quilts and some old
antique
quilts. And it was sponsored by the Art Guild. And it was a marvelous display.
Much work.
But it was beautiful.
It was wonderful.
Wonderful.
I think that some of us who were in the Art Guild kind of thought, well, maybe we should do it sometime other than Jour de Fete weekend. But it was such a perfect fit.
And it was so wonderful that Father, when I asked him, he said, I don't know why, but I left that weekend open for some reason. I said,
to be
for us.
Yeah.
And so he let us use it. And we just had to make a donation. We weren't charged. Cool. We just donated whatever we wanted. Yep.
That's neat.
Yeah,
and then we're still having the Convertible Club out of Cape Girardeau. They still come on Saturday. And then some of the antique tractors will be there. And then Sunday, you always got to go to the Casey Hall, chicken dinner, car show. Right. I'm hoping the weather stays nice and they have a really good turnout because that's one of their big fundraisers
It
too.
is,
Yeah.
yes.
So, and that helps.
And there's a lot of beautiful cars out there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when I moved here, one of the things that surprised me, I came from the St. Louis area. I started out in a small community in North St. Louis County and moved here from Kirkwood. There's nothing like that in either of those places. I'd never seen anything quite like Jour de Fete. And I was just amazed at the way in which the community came together. And those were in the days when it was smaller and more primitive than it is now. But we're lucky to have you in the community and
Agreed.
putting on an event that I think everybody can enjoy. And we're going to just pray for cool weather.
Yes.
Just
Cool
order
weather.
up last
And
year's
no
weather.
rain.
Right, that
Last
was
year,
amazing.
I've never seen
It
Jour de
was-
Fete weather
yeah.
like that.
Yes.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And I felt
Yeah.
wonderful because all the beer stands were full, the businesses were packed too, and that was great because it wasn't too hot for them to go in and out, and
Right.
all the live music. That's the other cool thing. There's like live music on every corner, whether it's at a business, whether we're sponsoring it or a beer garden sponsoring it. You can't go wrong with music.
Well, that's true.
Yes.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always thought they should do. We were in Arkansas every Friday night down there. I think it was Friday nights, maybe it was Saturday. Every corner
Is that Mountain
in a
View?
cup of the little, I don't remember the name of
Mountain
it.
View or Mountain Grove? Something like that, I think.
Anyway, band on every corner, or somebody playing the guitar and singing, or
Yes.
something, every corner. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so fun to walk around. And they'd have a few chairs there where you could sit down and listen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always thought, St. John ought to do that.
It's-
That
That's
would
an
be
idea
so
to pass
neat.
on to
That's
your
funny
tourism
that you-
director, Aaron.
Do I?
He's
It's
always
funny you
looking for
brought
new
that
things.
up.
I know.
We just toured down there, or we went with my parents down there because my grandma used to go there every year. So we went, and it's pretty neat. They literally have a pavilion like on each corner, and it can start at 8 a.m. It can start all the way till 9 p.m. and people just randomly come.
Right.
Some of it's local, some of it's not local, and they really have like jam
They just
sessions
walk
all
around
day.
from corner
Yeah.
to corner. Yeah.
Well, we're very lucky because we do have some of that, you know, across the street from Audubon's. And last season, down in Little Bohemia, one of the tenants there sponsored concerts each Sunday afternoon and
That's-
brought in professional musicians. And I believe she's planning on doing that again this year.
Yes, she is.
That's-
Music, Art, and Love.
Okay,
We'll
yeah.
say
Well,
the name.
No,
because, yeah.
actually, that was done by
Dr.
Hoffman.
Oh, Hoffman
Dr.
last
Hoffman
year.
was very
That's
Is
right.
the owner of the Two Rivers Gallery.
Right.
Yeah.
And Chris at Music Art Love has live music every Friday night.
Yes.
So, and
And Brian
Trivia.
has.
You can play trivia with me
On
next Wednesday
Wednesdays,
at
yes.
Music Art Love. We'd
I'm
love
not
to-
smart enough for trivia.
we're very fortunate, I think, to have so many things going on in town.
We do.
And a lot of them are fun. But I want to go back to something serious before
Okay.
we run out of time.
I get to be the fun.
you're
You
right.
get to be the serious. I get to be fun.
She shifted tone there. Did you see
She
that?
did.
Annexation.
Yes.
The annexation plan, why the city decided to go into this, it's rather an onerous process, you know?
Yeah.
Anytime anybody decides to do annexation, unless a property owner comes to them and says, please take us in. And that's very seldom the case, I think, when it's a large plan.
Sure.
Talk to us about what areas are involved. People have seen the map, but the map is a little deficient. Actually, I think Charlie has a copy of the map that he may be able
Okay.
to put up
Sure.
for people to see, kind of explain what's involved, why the city decided to do this, and how it's coming along.
Sure. So the annexation piece is part of a much bigger plan. So the city has a comprehensive plan that it's multifaceted and it addresses a lot of needs in a lot of different ways. And the city undertook that and developed the comprehensive plan because it does offer us, we get some grant funding if we do have that. And really it's about implementing the plan too. So part of that plan,
There's the
there
map.
we go. And so part of that plan is annexation. And really every city should have some sort of annexation plan as part of their overall city plan, because those things are going to come up. Whether it's voluntary or involuntary, cities, they need to be reevaluating their borders and how we're approaching those. We understand that the city is very landlocked in a lot of ways, right?
Or river lot.
We have it, yes, or river locked. So our entire eastern border is more or less water or unusable ground, flood buyout ground. So there's nothing there. North, we run into MLC property. Really about, if you think about our probably 270 degrees of where you could grow, they probably restrict us on maybe 100, certainly more than half of it, maybe in some respects. But
Probably everybody knows that MLC means Mississippi Lime
Lime,
Company.
yes. I'm trying to call them by their new name. It's been an adjustment for me. I do tend to refer to them as Mississippi Lime, but I try to honor the new name. I know that they've gone through the rebranding.
Yeah.
We owe it to them to probably, whatever name they want to be called. Try to do that. But it's old habit. It's hard to break. But yes, Mississippi Lime MLC, they do own, they have large property holdings that really restrict us going out that direction. And then, of course, we just have areas south and that they're already kind of built up and developed. And to push your borders, that's part of growing. Growing is pushing your borders in some respects. So pushing out your borders is important and it's part of it. Otherwise, you become completely landlocked and then you have nowhere to go. And really, we weren't trying to pick on anybody. That wasn't the goal. When we did approach this, there's a lot of little islands throughout, and you can kind of see them on the map a little bit there. There's little islands that are throughout the city limits that for some reason were never brought into the city. And we kind of thought, okay, well, why don't we go ahead and try to bring those in just to shore up everything. So there's not these little pockets, literally islands in the city that are not city property. Or not, I shouldn't say city property, they're county, it's not in the city limits. So we wanted to try to shore up those properties, and you can kind of see these little spots, little green spots there. The green representing areas that we wanted to address in the next 1 to 3 years. Now you'll see the large section of that is really Mississippi Lime property. That huge green section there on the left-hand side of that screen is Mississippi Lime, right? And the goal of pushing that to the public, it wasn't us saying, "Hey, we're coming to get you." We really just wanted to open up a dialogue with the public to see what their reaction is to it, to see if there was interest, to see if this was even something that people wanted to have happen. We understand that they may not have a need for the services that we could provide at this point. They might in the future, but we could kind of talk them through how that would work and what they would get out of it. It was informational. And I know it was hotly debated, and I know that there were some people that were upset, but I think they were upset because of maybe the misconception of what we were trying to do. And that could have fallen on, I'll take the blame. Just put it that way. We could have communicated the message, I think, better pushing it out to the public, and just to try to say, hey, this is informative in nature. This is something that the city is working on as part of a bigger plan, but we just want to take the temperature of the people to see if it's even something that they wanted. The people told us it's not. That's okay. That's fine. But it's up to us to talk to them about it.
That's been their position for as long as I've been here.
Sure.
Because it's an issue that's come up in the past.
Yeah. And other previous, mayors and boards of aldermen have approached this. And I think it's largely been kind of the same thing. We do have people that, as part of that meeting, came to us and said, yeah, let's do it. And there are some times where even somebody who maybe has a septic or a well that maybe they don't need it right now. Well, in the future, if that septic fails and it costs $10,000, $12,000 to fix, well, come on in, because your increase in your service is we're not talking astronomical here. Yes, you're going to pay a little bit extra in taxes, but your rate of return there is going to be pretty good.
But it certainly makes more sense if there's a group of those little properties for all of them to come in at one time, because that means that everyone can get the improved service, and it will cost the city less to do it.
Sure, and that was why we reached out to the ones that we did. That's why that map is the way it is because we were intentional about the areas that we were trying to highlight. And it was areas that were right on the edges, or as I mentioned, just kind of surrounded by city, and then just trying to bring them in. It wasn't favorably received. That's okay, but we had a dialogue with the community to determine that, right? We went out and we asked. They told us what they thought. Sometimes we don't get the answers, but we don't know until we ask. I think us engaging with the community in that topic, might have been a little scary and maybe frustrated people, but I think when they came to the meeting and they kind of listened to, David Bova was instrumental in that, and he did a fantastic job. And it was a tough meeting. But David, was more or less just saying, hey, we just wanted to talk about this, to see if there was any kind of desire from the property owners to do that. If there isn't, we're not going to come in and force anybody to do that. We're not going to force a homeowner to come into the city if they don't want to. If we're not going to provide them benefit, then it's not going to be something that they're going to do. And we understand that. But we did want to talk to them about it because if we don't ask the question, we don't know.
So for now, that's sort of on the shelf, unless someone who would be eligible under the plan comes in and says, I would really like to be part of the city.
And we had a number of people from that meeting that did engage us about coming in. So we are actively working on it. And we are still working on it in other phases. We're trying to determine, because if let's just say MLC came into the city. It's not about taking them in for money. And I think there's a misconception across the community that that's what the city really wanted to do.
Well, it wouldn't hurt.
It surely wouldn't. Nobody's arguing that. But really, it's what's beyond their property. There are areas where you could see growth.
Yes.
And sometimes it's less cost prohibitive for a developer to develop an area that would be in the city because we can bring the services to them for water and sewer. They don't have to put that on the homeowner. We've shown willingness to engage and to try to help solve problems where they are. It's about the land beyond that. It's about opening up the city to be flexible to grow as it's needed. There's a lot of ground there. And I know Mississippi Lime is going to be here. They're not going anywhere. They have told us they have a lot of years left of mining, and that's great. But
they cannot take their product away.
Right.
It's in the ground.
It's there. But they have large land holdings. Maybe sometime in the future, they won't have a need for some of the farm ground that they own. And maybe that's the point where some of that development starts to happen. We want to be there to help do that if we can. And we want that growth to happen within the city. And that you're always evaluating ways to try to grow and to improve. We thought that this was maybe something we would push out there. Like I said, we brought the feedback back, and guess what? We're reevaluating now. We have a committee that works on that. We meet fairly regularly just to try to figure out avenues.
This is not at the top of the list for the city at this point.
Not right now, but it's still going to be a part of our plan, and it will be because of that comprehensive plan, and because we are implementing that. It is always going to be there, and we want people, if they are curious, to know that we're willing to talk with them about it. And we've had a number of conversations with residents that are just on the edges. And, one reached out and said, well, hey, I want to build 2 spec homes, but I'd like to get on city water. I don't want to have to put a well and a septic in each of these. And I was like, I understand that. Yeah. Let's figure out how we can do it.
So people who maybe are interested, what do? Do they just call and say, hey, can I talk to Dave Bova?
Absolutely. Okay. He's ready and willing to take that call whenever they are. But I know, and like I said, I just want to tell the people of the community, we did that because we wanted your input. That was the sole mission of that meeting, was to take the temperature of the property owners. I had a resident that was upset, that lived in the county. They thought we were just coming to get them. And I said, well, here's what I know. I said, my mother is your neighbor, and she doesn't know anything about this. So if my own mother doesn't know anything about it, I don't think you should be either, because I think I would tell her. And that's the message you've heard me talk. We want to have that open conversation with the public about anything that maybe controversial, maybe the right word. And it was, because I think it was kind of not well received when it was pushed out. And that's okay, I get it.
The unknown is always
And it always is. Yeah. I'm glad that people showed up to the meeting, though, whether they were upset when they showed up because they thought something different. But I'm glad that they came, because I think they wanted to, at least then we were able to communicate what we really wanted to get out of the meeting, which was, hey, we're thinking about this. Yep. We want to get your input. And tell us what we would need to provide to you that would make you want to come into the city. What are the things that they're looking for? And that was part of that dialogue too. It's so important to engage, with the community on things like that. You have to know what are they thinking? What are they feeling? Good, bad, or indifferent?
Or what are they asking?
Yeah.
And I have another question about something else that I hear people asking.
Yeah.
The latest sales tax report showed that the income from sales tax is down.
Sure.
And I wonder if you have any theory about why that's happening and how serious an issue it is. And whether or not there's anything that the city can do about it, besides hosting Jour de Fete, which we hope is going to make up that whole difference, which is, I can't remember how many thousands
it's an amount it's big and getting bigger. So I think, and you've probably heard Commissioner Ruzicka talk about this, in some capacity and a lot in the county. And I'm not dumping this on them. It's not they're solely their problem, right? It's everybody's problem, and we're all a part of this. And I think most of what you're seeing there is from that legislation that was passed that severely reduced or really made it. Some businesses have immunity from paying that for certain things.
The mineral companies.
Correct. It expands beyond that even. And that's the thing that it feels like what you're seeing is early on, we started to notice that drop. And then it was trying to figure out why. Well, then we discovered the why. And I think a lot of other people discovered the why. And more businesses started jumping on and started to take that tax benefit, and they realized that they qualified for that and that they could get that benefit as well. They started doing that as well. So as that happens, of course, we're going to see drop off. I don't think it's related to, if you were to look at the amount of people and that are spending money here, I don't know that that's changed a whole heck of a lot. I think it's just in that sector, we're not getting the benefit we used to. And it's the ripple effect from that is you're starting to see that really take hold. I mean,
so does this mean that because those entities that used to be paying sales tax aren't anymore, does that put more burden on the shops that sell ice cream and the grocery store and all the little tourism businesses? And does that mean that we have to ramp up efforts in those areas?
Yes. I think naturally.
How do we do that?
Well, I think naturally you're trying to determine a way to make up that difference one way or the other. And I don't want to, nobody I think is going to go to our small business owners and say, hey, you need to work harder and you need to be open more and you need to do that. I mean, I would never tell somebody that. They're putting their heart and soul and life into every bit of that. And they need time off too, but they're going to feel the impact of it because maybe there is more pressure on what our retail businesses, it's really kind of squarely on their shoulders now because a lot of that other tax money that was coming in is now not. So and maybe we look at it as, there's a gap that needs to be bridged and maybe we hope that they do, but it's certainly not their responsibility. I would argue that our government as a whole, city and county, that's our responsibility. We've got to figure out a way for them to thrive. And we need to figure out a way to drive more people here. And I think, you mentioned our tourism director, and I know you guys probably work closely with Aaron as well. We do. Aaron is always constantly trying to find new avenues and new ways to drive people to this town. And I think you've seen the footage that they get and the marketing that's going out now is so wonderful. It is such a breath of fresh air. And I'm not saying what we did before was inadequate necessarily. It's more, I think you could probably agree with this. It's more suited to how people are taking in information, right?
Yes.
We take it in on our phone, we take it in on social media, we take it in through those mediums. So pushing the message out to those and pushing out fresh, engaging content, it grabs your attention. It's not long drawn out commercials. It's showing activity and showcasing
It's
what
showing
we have.
that St. Genevieve, I look at it as it's showing St. Genevieve is evolving with technology. It does, because I know some people were pushed back when I was like, I want to advertise like on Spotify and stream, and everyone's like, oh no, that's a waste of money. I'm like, but if we don't show that our town's coming up with the times and getting new people in here willing to buy, we are going to get left behind. So, and I think Aaron is doing an excellent job of trying those wheelhouses. Just not everyone sees it.
Sure.
He's definitely, his wheels are turning, and he's trying really hard to promote the town. Definitely.
So
So
That's-
you're expecting that a surge in sales tax from Jour de Fete?
absolutely.
We hope
We
so.
hope so. I hope so.
I think it's all but guaranteed, assuming we get some good weather.
Yes,
Jour de
always
Fete
depending on weather.
It's kind of one of those weekends in the summer that I think everybody kind of looks forward to. It's always marked on your calendar, right? Everybody knows when it is. And for one, we have, between myself and my parents, both of our houses are full with people coming in to visit that weekend, and it's every year. So it's like that weekend every year.
It's kind of the end of the summer blast.
We have a full house. My parents have a full house, and every single person that is visiting us is from out of the area.
That's good.
And
That's
it's
very good.
And they keep coming back. They love it.
Yeah.
They love it. And I think the more we get that, I mean, that's just one story, and I think you see it everywhere. But back to that, I think it's on the city and the county to figure out ways to drive people here. And then once they're here, it's rolling out the red carpet, right? It's making sure that you maximize their enjoyment while they're here.
Being more than just a day visit.
100%.
You want to be a whole weekend
so much more
or
to
more.
do.
Right.
Yes.
We have things to do. There are places to go, beautiful places to go all throughout our county. And I think it's reminding people of that sometimes.
I want to congratulate the city on the fact that the board voted to provide $15,000 in funding for the ferry. Because I
That
think
was
the
much needed.
ferry is one of the things that we underestimate the value of the ferry in terms of it providing access for people who work across the river or who live across the river, work here, and the farmers and tourism.
Yes. And I'll say this, the ferry, I love the ferry. Anytime I go to Waterloo or Columbia or Redbud or, anywhere in that area, we're always on the ferry. It's so much fun. It's different. It's a new thing to do. And it cuts off a lot of drive time if you think about it. It's one of my favorite things to do. And if I have people coming from that direction,
Always tell them take a picture.
and I always tell them, take the ferry. Like, trust me, you will enjoy the ferry. And it will cut off, in some cases, like 30 minutes off your travel time. But the ferry, and one of the things, and I'll sing Aaron's praises a little bit more. Aaron really figured out a way to get the Illinois legislature to finally start to talk. And we have been asking for years. And it took Aaron through tourism, through the French Heritage Corridor, and their main office in Chicago.
Start talking about it. Putting it on the table.
Yeah, he just basically said, hey, this is what's going on. And they said, say no more. We'll start to put some pressure. And I grew up in Southern Illinois. Illinois politics is top heavy. Everything works Chicago down, Cook County down, right? So to get any movement, it's almost like we had to find somebody that could filter that down from Cook County. That message needed to come from somewhere else because we were engaging Representative Bryant from across the river, and there was a representative from Redbud, Representative, I think it's Freeze was his name. He came to the meeting that night as well to lend support from the Illinois side, and both of them have said they are going to get this figured out. That they are pushing this hard to try to get that funding for the future. And that Aaron really got that ball in motion, and that was not easy to do. In Illinois,
Well,
like I said,
that's
it's
great.
weird.
Yeah.
I lived in the southern part of the state. We were used to getting ignored a lot. That's just the way it goes, and we understood that. So it was a tough hill to climb. But I think Aaron, you talk about leveraging some connections and some opportunities. Like you talk about, that's thinking outside the box. That's thinking how maybe they can help, and they have. And we're starting to see a little bit of movement there. I wish that we were in a position where we could have given more to the ferry. I know that 15,000 maybe, it's a lot of money,
Will
but
they be open Jour de Fete weekend?
as far as I know, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe they will. So we wish we could have given more, but we just, and maybe we will. And I don't think that conversation's done. I think the board, it was a tough decision. I think you kind of saw that everybody was really torn because they kind of know we have a lot that we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And this wasn't really planned, and unplanned things happen, and you're always trying to make sure you're fiscally responsible. And when you're dealing with the public money, you have to be, because I have to be able to put my head down on the pillow at night and know that, hey, we're doing things the right way, and we're taking care of the people's money, and but we're honoring what they want. They wanted us to use it. I think that was out there. And I know there's some people that were vocal, they just didn't really see the point. And that's okay. I get it. If maybe it doesn't impact them, but we talked to a lot of the business owners, and they were adamant, like, this is a big deal. And when you start to hear that side of it, that makes you go, okay, this goes back to what we're talking about. The job lies at the feet of the city to offer an environment and to foster an environment for business to thrive. And if that's a main piece of it, then it needs to be there. And I think that was ultimately why you saw the board come around on that, because there was initially some conversation, and it was good conversation. And I like when people bring up differing viewpoints. That's always a healthy thing. It's always, disagreement is not unhealthy.
It's not bad.
Right? You get to a more complete decision.
Gets to the point of things.
You get to a more complete decision.
Exactly.
And you never know if somebody has been thinking about something differently, and you just haven't gone down that path with it. And then they say it, and you go, I never thought about it like that.
Right.
But that is a really interesting point, and it gets people thinking in those terms. I think it's easy to just think about our own personal experience and how it relates to us.
Right.
But when you open it up, and we heard, I think Alderman Fahey was very adamant about how important it was for businesses, and how, his operation, where he employs, I wanted to say 5 to 7 full-time people, I think is what he. Those people at the inn and at the antique mall those people have jobs because of tourism.
100%.
And if you're closing down arteries into your town, that it's going to have an impact. And maybe they would travel the extra time, but make it easy. Yeah, make it easy. Remove the barriers for people to get to our town. Right?
And something I thought of, and I even mentioned it to a few of the ladies that we have coffee with, the city should set up a fund where people could just donate money if they wanted to.
Sure. For projects like that.
Yeah, for projects that, like the
You
streets.
almost sound like a wish list is what you're trying to do.
It is. It is.
Well, I can provide some items for a wish list if you want.
That sounds like what you're trying, Iris.
Yeah.
But
it's true. I think if people knew the circumstances of a lot of things, somebody, even if they throw in $50, $100 or $5, if you get people interested, it could go.
It really could.
And especially for the streets. I think that's why we started talking about it when you were talking about the limited amount of money. And I said,
they're looking so good.
It'd be really nice if the city had a fund where anybody that wanted to, I'm in the county.
Yeah.
I drive on the streets every day.
Yep.
I would be happy
I know what you're saying.
I would be happy to.
And you don't know until you ask, right? And one of the things that I've always said about this community when people do ask me, they're like, what's it like? I said, well, I tell you what, it can be a tough community to move to because it's kind of insular in some ways, and being an outsider like I am, it does take a little time for people, but it's
I don't
just,
think as much as it used to.
no, I agree with that 100%.
Yes, it used to be really
It used to be
bad.
a little bit
Yeah.
more clicky kind
And
of thing.
most of those people are gone now.
If you
Well,
say
if you say it that way, sure.
but I think, but one thing I've always said about
I'm
this
to the
community
point.
is that whether you were born here and grew up here or you moved here, when you're here, you're one of their own, right?
Right.
And this community is amazing in the way it rallies around its own. If there's somebody in need, everybody rushes to help in any capacity, and you see that all over with all these benefits that
Oh, definitely.
for our residents that are going through tough times. People show out and they show up and they show support in ways that maybe that they're giving money they probably don't have, but this community rallies around its own. It is unbelievable the support that they have, that they offer. So yeah, that's an avenue, right? If you're asking for help in this community, somebody's there to do it for you. They're willing, right?
Right.
And they'll do what they can.
If they just let it be known.
Yeah,
Right.
and I don't know if you watched the town hall of the community center the other night or if you were there.
Yeah,
There was a gentleman that stood up and said, "How do I volunteer?" He's like, "I would volunteer to do this or that," and it was like, maybe we should have just asked, right? I mean, maybe sometimes it is just asking.
It is.
Yeah.
Definitely it is asking.
And we've taught, and maybe like the Rotary Club, maybe we need to ask more. I don't know. Maybe that's something that needs to happen, but the community is always ready to help when they can. And I mean, that's an avenue that I hadn't really thought about, but maybe there is a way to develop some sort of like foundation or something that would help support some of these projects. Because those can be very beneficial. I think, the biggest success story in that is like the Friends Foundation of the hospital. I mean, they provide so much support for that facility and their programs and what
And
they
the
do.
library is getting very
Libraries,
after it now.
that one, that's really
That's
good
a shame that tax.
I agree. That was election night. We were overjoyed that the fire districts were approved because
I
that
was
was
so
really important for
disappointed
them.
when it didn't pass.
And it looked like the library was in good shape for a long time on election night, and then I think it was really the outer stretches of the county that probably just it's less impactful for them.
And people
Unless
didn't
you
really
go to it and see the
understand.
amazing things they
Yes.
do. I don't know if it gets out to everybody. You know what
I
mean?
don't
Unless
think
you
it does. I don't think it does. They're trying harder.
They-
It would have been huge
Yeah.
for them, and honestly, I think it would have solved a few problems that the community center has right now as well. So it was disappointing. I know Sean was really disappointed. I've had several conversations with him, and I always tell him that I always thank him. I think
He's great.
you have to, well, and I'm sure he doesn't get thanked enough, but
And his team is wonderful.
they do a wonderful job.
And the
with what
board
they
that
have.
works with him, I mean, the
Yeah.
Friends of the Library.
Yes.
Those ladies that are up there in charge. I'm a member, but I don't do that much. I mean,
Yeah.
I volunteer once in a while, but they just really work hard.
They do, and they're
Very
giving
hard.
a lot. I mean, and it really is a labor of love in a lot of ways because their funding is so.
And people don't
shoestring budget
realize
for
that
them.
they really lost. And I didn't realize that either. They lost a whole percent
Oh yeah,
from
2017.
it going up and then coming back down. It came back down to less than what they were getting before it raised up.
yep.
And I didn't know that until Sean explained it.
And honestly, I didn't realize the impact of that to them as well. I mean, I think I remember during that election, because that was the water park bond initiative. I know there was a lot of discussion about what was going, because I know that they were breaking from the Ozark library system, and there was some, there was going to be some maneuvering of how there was a tax going in, but a tax kind of sunsetting. And I'm sure that had a big impact on them. And I know that
It did.
the county has tried to help provide them with some funding as much as they can. It's just, as we know, there's not much there. When you have all this money that's sitting in escrow from,
Yeah.
property tax appeals and things like that, that money is just so desperately needed right now in a lot of different ways. And that's library, that's community center, that's a lot of what you're seeing. There's a lot of little
Exactly,
projects
yeah.
that are kind of either being pushed to the back burner, or in some cases what we're seeing is they just have to do something different completely. And
Right.
the library, I wish it would have passed. It was
It was sad.
frustrating,
But it did,
and Sean and his team, I think, deserved they deserve a little bit of a bigger bucket to pull
It did,
from,
yes.
and maybe that'll come down the road. And I had a conversation with Sean last week about trying to get creative, to think about some avenues that we haven't thought about before to try to increase some funding there. And I think those conversations are going to continue because it's a service that I talk to so many people that love their programs. And as a father of a 6-year-old, we use the library a lot. He loves to read. He
They're
checks out
evolving.
books.
They're doing events
That's
like
great. Yeah.
once again they're going to be at Jour de Fete, and we've told them they can use it as like a promotion booth, and they're like, we're going to do something for the kids. So it's always cool though, because like we've told them you can pick whichever way you want, and they like as a staff, I guess as a team, decided they're going to do it for the kids. So we're putting them in the kids corner, and then like you got the museum, they're going to have a kids corner. So
Yeah.
I'm like, it's amazing how all these people keep coming together to do the different events, even if they have little to work with.
Yep.
Right.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I hope that situation changes and we're able to figure out ways. And it may be getting creative. It may be some of the things that you mentioned, and maybe it's just
They've
thinking
got a
outside
few
the box
things
a little.
planned that
Yeah.
it's going to bring in money. Yeah. Or bring in funds to support them.
good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, we're going to keep talking about it too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
hopefully we.
And I think if people were more educated,
Yeah.
like I didn't realize the big cut that was going to happen. I voted yes for it, but I didn't really realize how losing that money
How
was going
dire
to
it was gonna-
affect it.
it was going
Yeah.
to be without it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know that a lot of people did. And maybe it was trying to drive that point home a little bit more. And I'm not saying they may not try it again at some
I was
point.
going to say they can always try again. There's nothing.
a little bit
That's
of
what
a,
I think
Yeah.
too.
It was a little
Yeah.
bit of a crowded ballot in that respect. I mean, you had 2 commissioner seats that were up. You had the fire
department.
districts that were all trying to go, on their tax roll as well.
Right.
So, I mean, there was a lot going
lot
on.
of stuff,
And so, you didn't want to put people in a position where they felt like they had to choose one or the other. And maybe some did. But
Sometimes timing is everything.
it can be.
And we have to pay attention to the time. at
We
this
have
point.
7 more minutes.
Okay,
we
in 7
do.
more minutes, I am going to tell you though, we did, working with the health department and Safety Kids at Jour de Fete, we are going to be able to do free bicycle helmet fittings and give bicycle helmets away.
Oh,
We're going to have
fantastic.
a bunch of giveaways for car safety. And Danny, who is an amazing woman at the St. Genevieve Health Department, we're going to have like car seat demonstrations there. And then if you need a car seat, you can make an appointment with her at the health department with no cost.
great.
So
That's great.
that's something we were able to bring.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
That was through a grant.
too cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do a lot of that. A lot of grant writing.
Right.
I tried.
Oh, that's your job too.
Yeah, I tried.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's great.
This has
Yeah.
been wonderful this evening.
Yeah.
These are great guests, aren't they?
We can keep coming back with
And we're gonna ask
You can join the crew if you want.
Yeah,
Oh, we get to ask the hard questions.
Oh, we're going to turn the tables.
you all have been wonderful, and I know people are going to want to hear more. They're going to want to hear a Jour de Fete report, and I know they're going to want to hear from you
Yeah.
again, even people in the county.
Yeah.
And I want to say that if there's something those of you who are out there watching us want to hear, what can they do?
They can call the city hall, call one of us, get a hold of Charlie.
We're going to have an email address too that we can maybe announce next time. We're getting that set up, and I think we may have a Facebook page. at
Ooh,
some
look at you
point.
ladies go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd love to know. I see some online. You try to take the pulse. Online it can be tough at times, but we try to see what the burning questions are. I think I'd love to hear more of what the community is, what they're really interested in. Right? I mean, maybe I hope that they find some information helpful with what we talk about, and I try
Oh, I
to take
think they
pieces.
do.
I try to take pieces of what I see online and try to kind of address those here whenever we do get on those topics, just because I want people to understand that, hey, we are listening. There's if I don't engage with people on social media, it's just sometimes I feel like those conversations are better had one-on-one or in a separate dialogue.
Right.
But I'm happy. I always tell people I'm happy to talk anytime.
Yeah,
I,
anytime you want to come, just,
I'm more than willing to sit down with anybody and everybody. Like, and I always say, good, bad, and different. You just tell me what you're feeling.
and I think that's good. It's like when you do art. If you have somebody critiquing your work, you're going to advance a lot faster
100%.
than somebody saying, "Oh, that's nice."
No, it's nice to hear that too.
Well, if it is really nice, then I hope they say it.
Make a comment,
Yeah,
see
yeah.
you later.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't tell them anything on art. That would be, they've forgotten more than I'll ever know. And I have an art teacher wife, but I'm certainly not the.
We didn't know that. Is she a member of our guild?
I don't know that she is. She's the middle school art teacher.
We expect you to do something about
We
that.
can work. She's probably watching. In fact, it's
just got
almost
nominated.
well,
She
it's
might
almost
be-
bedtime.
yeah.
So Cooper, hello. I love you. I'm proud of you. You're my best friend. Good night. I probably won't get to see you before you lay down. And Becky, apparently you're
Art Guild.
wanted on the Art Guild. So
Right.
hopefully they heard that.
And teachers are really busy.
They are.
They're very, very busy.
But I
I
tell you
don't
what,
envy them.
artists, I don't understand it. I'm very not artistic. I have no artistic bone in my body. But I think the things that they do now in school with that and making it more approachable and trying to tap into what is that person's talent, right? What are they passionate about? Like, I can tell you to draw this or that or the other, but
Right.
like what speaks to you? Like, art is so individual, right? Am I speaking like
That's true.
I mean,
Very
it's,
true.
you're
You are.
expressing yourself,
But
right?
we're running out of time.
Oh, I can't.
So we're going to have you come back, or maybe your wife come back.
She would be happy
We've
to. I'm
got some
sure
of
she
the,
would.
the local art teachers here around this table, and I think that that might be a real interesting evening. But we're going to run out of time.
Yeah, we still got 2 minutes, 3 almost.
Well, I'll just say thank you to Carrie and her. I mean, your crew.
Yes.
It really is. We can't thank you enough for all the work you do. I
And
know it is a lot, and I know you guys are probably tired. That Sunday night or Monday is probably just like you feel just maybe some relief, but also some mostly exhaustion.
both.
Yeah.
But
So we'll wait a week before we call you to come back
that's
for
fine. You
a
can.
And I want to
report.
compliment the Jour de Fete committee. They have been on this show ever since we started. Every year, they have not missed a year. And I think we started in like 2011, something
Really?
like that.
very cool.
Well, we appreciate you
Your
having us.
mom was, and her crew, and now you for the
Yes.
last few years. So,
Well,
There
thank
we
you.
are.
I appreciate it.
yeah,
Good weather.
Yes.
Just need some
good
good weather.
Yeah.
good weather.
does.
That's what we all need. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you, Brian.
No, thank you all for having me. Like you said,
Or
anytime
Mr.
you-
Mayor.
you don't
Thank
have
you,
to-
Mr. Mayor.
Anytime you want me on, I would
All right.
be more than happy to sit down with you. I
Yeah,
love
and-
chatting
and
with you
anytime
guys.
Do
you
it on
have
a regular basis.
Yeah.
Anytime you want.
Yeah.
You just let me know.
Yeah.
Anytime you have something to say, run into me on the street.
Well, you hear me talk. I always have
Yeah.
something to say, I guess. I just love the town.
Thanks, Terry.
It's an easy town to talk about, I think.
Yeah,
So
it is.
I don't get tired of that.
I thought I was going to leave here when I got out of high school. I was going not even 2 weeks. And I said, I don't want to live anywhere else.
Yeah. Funny
I
how that
came
works,
back.
right?
Has an effect on you.
Been here ever since.
There's a pull.
Yeah. So
It's a
let's say
welcoming
good night
community.
to everyone.
Okay.
Thanks for listening, everyone out there. And
Let us know what you'd like to hear and who you'd like to see on.
Right.
And if you'd like to come and sit out in the chairs that are out there and be right here while this is going
we
on.
have
That
a lot
would be
of
fine
chairs,
too.
and you could
Yes.
just join in the
Yes.
conversation.
We can have
can
it-
play like we're one of the Tonight shows or
Oh,
one.
we could be interesting on that one.
Oprah. I want to be Oprah.
No, I don't want.
Thank you
I'd
all
rather
so
be
much.
Johnny Carson.
Thanks for watching.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Does that get cut?